Hi, I'm Natasha, and today I'm going to be discussing Watch Me Fly by Myrlie Evers-Williams. Biographies and autobiographies are one of my favorite genres. I absolutely love reading books about people, entrepreneurs, regular people that have done amazing things, that have just led interesting lives. I especially like these books because they can offer a very personal and human perspective on history, especially when the subject has been involved with or witnessed historic events. Prior to reading Watch Me Fly, I'd seen Ghost of Mississippi, so I knew a little bit about Medgar Evers, but not much about his life prior to being assassinated or the life of his wife. I knew a bit about Coretta Scott King and Betty Shabazz and had read about some of the other civil rights leaders, but I didn't know much about Myrlie Evers-Williams. The book shows a different perspective on the civil rights movement. It focuses on the experience of the wife of a civil rights leader, her having waited at home on many nights for her civil rights activist husband to come home and not being quite certain if he would, given the climate of the times, watching her children crawl on the floor in drills, practicing for the unfortunate possibility of someone shooting into the house or some other act of violence upon the house, and rebuilding your life after an assassin's bullet rips through your loved one and takes them prematurely from the family. Watch Me Fly is more than the story of the widow of a civil rights hero. It's also a story of a rather sheltered woman who struggles to find herself in her 30s after her world is ripped apart. Myrlie Evers-Williams had a rather sheltered upbringing. She was raised by her grandmother and aunt, two people that had a very firm hold on her during her childhood and young adult years and kept her very close to them. She didn't have a lot of room and freedom to experiment and sort of do some of the things that other young people did. So by the time she went off to college, she hadn't had a lot of the experiences that other teens might have. And upon meeting Medgar Evers rather early in her college life, and getting engaged, getting married, this all took place at a rather young age. I believe she was still like in her teens or something like that. I think like 18, 19, something along those lines. So she was married at a very young age, became a mother within a few years of the marriage. So she was a mother and a housewife at a very young age. And was still a very shy person, still very sheltered. And with the passing of Medgar Evers, was now thrown into this position where she had to establish an identity for herself outside of being so-and-so's granddaughter or so-and-so's niece or, Medgar Evers' wife or widow. She was now tasked with the responsibility of taking care of her children and having to craft a life for herself. Wasn't defined by someone else, that had a path for herself that hadn't been defined by, someone else's life journey. The details of Myrlie Evers' life were beyond what the average person would experience, but I think her life after Medgar Evers, of putting her life together and trying to figure things out, is a journey that I think a lot of people would be able to relate to and to take something away from. Throughout the book, she offers it's a very personable book. It's very approachable in writing style. It feels more like a conversation, and it actually felt like if you have like that cool older aunt that you can talk to about anything. Throughout the book, she offered or really just shared life advice, things that she'd learned from her experiences through the years. The advice that she offered, I found was quite good. Not all of it I agreed with, but the writing style made it more palatable. Her quest to find herself and establish her own identity were inspiring and would be motivating for most people. Having basically gone from the strict confines of her grandmother's house to her husband's house, There was also the reality outside of the home of having to deal with the discrimination and hardships of the time, along with the stereotypes and limitations that were placed on Black people. The book also touched on quite a few topics that I find people of this generation, at least in the past, would have most likely shied away. Miss Evers-Williams discusses her family's dysfunction, something that you find in a lot of families. The manner in which she was conceived, with her mother being a teen mom, her father's issues with himself, and then also the manner in which that manifested in his parenting, his being a father to her. The early part of the book, where Miss Evers-Williams discusses her courtship and marriage to Medgar Evers, delves a bit more, not so much into his life, like she doesn't do a full-on biography of Medgar Evers, but really just his life as it related to her in the course of their marriage and relationship. In the course of their relationship and marriage, Medgar was a brave activist, pro-Black before the term really existed, but yet on the flip side of that was actually quite traditional with regards to gender roles and a bit of a sexist. Her second husband was less accomplished, but a good man, and came into her life at a time after she'd gone through this transformation and had a greater sense of herself, but at the same time was a bit apprehensive about opening herself up to this new love, to this new relationship. There was the fear of loss of her independence. The book also touches on her experiences navigating the world of politics while she ran for office, dealing with sexism at the time, where a lot of people in general society, and then particularly within the Black society, were uncomfortable with at the time, a young Black woman running for office, taking away a position that would have otherwise gone or could have possibly gone to a Black man. Right? There was this idea that she was kind of overstepping, that she was hurting the Black cause by stepping out there and venturing into these territories that were traditionally held by white men, and that Black men were now striving to get into and possibly taking such a position from that could have possibly gone towards a Black man. I personally found Miss Evers-Williams incredibly likable, but disagreed with some of her views. The idea of married couples working out problems is understandable and good advice, but I sort of took issue with the idea of married couples working out disagreements and problems between themselves rather than running to friends or family members as good advice. But I kind of draw a line at the point where things become physical. I don't think that that's something that should remain quiet. Like that's too far gone and not something to be kept between the two of us. Like that's not personal business anymore. Bruised ego or not, there's never any reason for a man or a woman to threaten or resort to violence because they're upset or they're not getting their way, or there's some tension or something like that. The only option should always be to speak and work things out verbally, never physically. So that was one area that I disagreed on. Not to say that she advocated for or excused domestic violence or anything like that. I just felt that that was one thing that doesn't need to be or shouldn't be looked at as, well, we should just keep this between ourselves. Overall, I thoroughly enjoyed the book. It was a very quick read. I think I read it in about a week or so and really just enjoyed it. I thought it was very inspirational. It was a book that I read through once and then found myself going back to certain parts of it to reread just because I enjoyed them so much. I think the book would probably be of interest to anyone that's interested in the civil rights movement or the Black experience, but I think that given it delves a bit more into her personal journey and her quest to improve herself and to grow as a person, I think it would also be really great for people that are into self-help books or are looking for motivation, life advice, things of that nature, how to become a better version of themselves. I think it'd be a good book if you're looking for something along those lines. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you return to listen to future episodes. For more information about Noir Histoire, visit the Noir Histoire website at noirehis.com. TOIR.com. There you'll find text, video, and audio for each episode all in one place. Subscribe to the Noir Histoire newsletter to get fresh content delivered straight to your email inbox. You can also subscribe to the Noir Histoire YouTube channel for videos. I also occasionally post videos on Facebook. If you're enjoying the content but would prefer to listen to audio, you can subscribe to the Noir Histoire podcast via iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and SoundCloud. If you subscribe, please also take a few minutes to rate and review the show in iTunes. Follow Noir Histoire on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Google+. Enjoy the rest of your day.